Hi guys, I have a quick question to ask you. So if I hold this fun band up, does this look familiar to you? You probably say, oh yeah, I got that from my physical therapist. And if that is the answer, how long has it been since you've used that band? Select minority will probably say that they've continued on with their exercises, and maybe some have said, it's been in my closet or in my desk drawer since I brought it home. So it is so important that you continue on with your exercises that are given to you by your physical therapist, and to continue to build on from those exercises with the band and different exercise equipment. So if you know where yours is, I want you to go ahead and grab it. A regular resistance band will work as well too. So make sure that, do a quick run over on your band. Make sure there's no tears in it. Make sure if you spread it apart, that there's no thin lines or cracks or anything like that. And if you have it, if it's solid and ready to go, click play and follow along with me on the video. Are you ready to get started with your warm-up? We're just gonna bring some blood flow to those muscles before we add our resistance bands. So let's begin with our march. Gentle march. Even though seated marching is lower impact, if it still bothers your feet or your body to move those, keep the toes down, alternate heel lifts back and forth. Now tap to the side and curl the arm up toward the shoulder. If you're able to, as always, quick posture check, sitting up nice and tall. Tap and curl. Two and one. Fingertips to shoulders. Let's draw the circles. Other direction. Good, hands down by the side and bring the knees up. Still focusing on that nice, tall, upright posture. And moving on to the legs, warming up your quads. Now reach out as you extend the leg kick and reach. Let's grab our band and get started. If you have the resistance bands with the handles, those are perfectly fine as well too. Now typically these bands aren't quite as long, so what we're going to start with is bringing it underneath one of your feet. Now you get to decide how much resistance you want. The closer you get to your foot, the more resistance you'll have. Higher up, the less resistance. We're gonna go into bicep curls here. So hand down by your side, up nice and tall, curl it up and slowly lower down. Biggest thing we wanna make sure of is that you're not pulling that elbow up. We don't wanna cause shoulder pain, so you're gonna keep your elbow close to your side, curl up the forearm and hand while leaving your elbow by your ribs, and slowly lower down. Now let's carefully switch it over to the other side, putting it underneath your other foot. Here, pick your resistance. I'll give you some time to get situated underneath that foot. Up tall, curl up, slowly lower down. Making sure not to grip it too tight want to let those hands rest just a little bit so we're not squeezing too tight. Okay, now take your band. You're gonna start with it over your thighs. Now you're going to cross the ends underneath and pull it tight. Now if your band is shorter, you're gonna start underneath the legs, cross at the top. You can do both if you need less resistance. You're gonna walk your feet about hip width apart. Now we're going to rock onto the outsides of your shoes, open the knees. Rock on the outside, open the knees. So you're gonna feel this on the side of the glutes, side of the hips. Outside, making sure your knees follow along with the foot placement. What we don't wanna do is rock out and somehow leave your knees in like this. Let them open up. We need nice, strong, healthy hips to support our everyday activities. And sometimes even though we have sore hips, it's still important to tread lightly, but make sure that we're strengthening our hips. Now let's bring it here, band still crossed, slow knee lifts up and down. Now if this is too much of the resistance with your bands, I want you just to take your bands off and use just your body weight for the knee lifts. To make this more challenging, you're gonna start with a wider stance, making sure your knees don't cave in here. Good, let's carefully pull those bands apart. Working the back of the arms. You're gonna grab one end about shoulder width apart. You're gonna anchor this one here, up right above the chest. This one is gonna come down by your side. This hand doesn't move. This one, depending on how close you get to the other hand, that's going to give you your resistance. Push down and away, up, down and away. Good. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to swap the hands. So this one stays stationary right above the chest. This one's now your working side. Elbow down and slightly away from the side. 12, 11, 10. Remember, we want to feel this right in the back of the arms. Big squeeze. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Grabbing about shoulder width again, or a little bit wider. We're gonna have one arm up, one down, close up to center, pull apart. Good, 6, 5, 4, reaching those hands as wide as you can, keeping the arms relatively straight. I'll give you a side view here. We pull it to the chest, one more. Okay, now let's let those shoulders rest. I'm just gonna have you roll it out a little bit. Sometimes our shoulders get real tight and those muscles around our neck, so it's important to let those relax. Okay, now opposite arm up, straighten in front of the shoulders. Big pull apart. If you need more resistance, get those hands a little bit closer on your band. Good, 3, 2, and 1, and let them relax. Flat band, if yours is long enough, let's place it on the middle of your foot. You're gonna hold here, push down and away. Bend the knee, down and away. I'll give you that side view again. Push, in, and push. Making sure not to flex your toes too much, because especially if you have one of the rounded resistance bands, I don't want it to shoot off and slingshot you in the face. Okay, slow transition underneath the other foot. These are just going to mimic your leg presses. Press down and away. Good. So knee comes in toward the chest, push down and away. And with these, I like to kind of anchor it below my chest and make sure it's not up here that you're holding it, because if it does happen to slip off, it won't get you in the face. It'll slingshot down lower. Last one. Going into our bow and arrow. Hand out to the front. This arm, the closer you grip, the more resistance you'll have. So let's pull back and row and return. Rowing with the elbow, hand comes right by the side of the chest. Sometimes I see people straighten out their arms here, but we want to keep it right up here so we can row. Hand is going to be right in line with your elbow. Gentle pull back. Think squeezing, single shoulder blade to spine. This arm stays right out, nice and tall and strong. Okay, let's go to the other side. Opposite hand now, up and out. Remember, closer you grab, the more resistance you will have. Pull back and squeeze. Forward, pull back and squeeze. Making sure also not to pull with your wrist. Having the wrist stay neutral, in line with the elbow. Pull back and squeeze, and return. Okay, one more. All right, guys, that is a full round of no repeats. However, if you would like to do it again, you're more than welcome to hit replay and start over. Thank you for joining me today.